Guinean president at the time, in fact, it still is, Obiang, saying what is presidentially, sort of projects herself to be a democratic leader, but is aligning with a dictator and all of that. The paper's editor had to go into hiding and all of that. But you can say the same about George Weah. People speak their mind, they talk willy-nilly. To an extent, some of the times they abuse the level of freedom available to them, but nobody goes after people. We use the options, the legitimate, maybe cautioning folks through the Press Union of Liberia that has been, unofficially given the delegated the responsibility to censor folks in the media, their own people. So when you talk about free speech, that's what the ambassador was saying. I mean, he was quite right on the money, when he mentioned those, Daniel.
Thank you. When I remember just after the president's inauguration, and one of the first things that he did was to have an organization by meeting with the press, and he laid clear emphasis on the importance of the freedom of the press. He went on to further that he will enact any laws necessary to ensure that the press gets the kind of freedom they need, and that was how the birth of the KAK, the Kamara Freedom Act, came into being. Now we're saying you saw after Tyrone Brown was killed, there were a lot of malicious misinformation in the public space.
Yeah.
That government was clamping down on the press, and there were too many things that were being said. What did the government do? The president ensured that this case was sought and convicted individuals were brought forward, and at the end, that was how the Tyrone Brown thing was made publicly clear that it was not the government that was after the press.
Yeah.
Aside from that,
it was a private case.
Exactly. Aside from that, you just said it clear. Every government ministries and public corporations has got strong relationship with the press. I was in Saniquile, to grace, on behalf of the ministry, to grace the 58th anniversary of the PUL, and there, at listening to the guest speaker for that occasion, Honorable Emma Glasgow, and 80% of what she discussed was giving open glorification to the media for the role that they play in digitizing and practicalizing the works being done by NAFA. And she also said that if it wasn't because of the availability of the individuals in the press that was willing to work along with the government of Liberia, too many things today that we see would have been possible. When I came up, I said the same thing. We always have had the passion, because good thing first is that both of us came from the media background. Both of us have had relationship with members of the press. Both of us are family members to the colleagues of the press or community dwellers with these people. So the respectability has always been a part of our daily activity.
Yeah.
So the press is a part of us, and the president has made it clear that there will always be press freedom under his administration, and that is what is happening right now.
And he also talked about, speaking of the U.S. ambassador, he also talked about the fact that Liberia is a more inclusive society than it was before.
Yep.
And also, what more independent elections commission do you want? If an election commission can have a few by-elections, and the opposition seem to win more.
Yep.
So he was saying, if the opposition can win more elections, they don't complain, and just when the ruling party wins one or two, and then they start complaining, that is definitely, insincere. And he said they're not going to allow those kinds of, he called it cheap political shots. He said we are not going to allow, political parties and politicians take cheap shots at the elections commission. He said if you have questions about what they're doing, file your complaint. So far, if that is not an expression of confidence in the level of democracy and openness that President Weah administration has committed to, I don't know what is. Because, the opposition people went to election, the 2020, that we call the midterm election, whatever. They won some of the seats.
Yeah.
Darius Dillon.
Yeah.
Jonathan Sigbe.
Yeah.
Yombli Kanga.
Koto Cape Mount.
They won without question.
Yes.
Soon the ruling party won, or at least a candidate of the ruling party won in Lofa County. Oh, they started looking for all kinds of complaints.
Potential election rigging.
Suddenly they had a simultaneous posting, all the different actors posting simultaneously about some sort of Discovery, they said they had on net website and what have you. I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, they were just so losers. They couldn't stand the fact that they were whipped in their own backyard. So that was the case. It was not because there were actual problems, because we know there were none. And I've listened to some of the callers on the radio stations nowadays. They are fully aware that the kind of transformation Liberia has made over the last decade or so, our elections as kind of crafted in a manner that makes it very difficult for cheating. Nobody's going to do any cheating. At least systemic cheating that will win a presidential seat. Because across the country, people, the process is so transparent that even the political parties would know their system. So did it surprise you that the Unity Party said they were posting publicly? At the time they said they had a public billboard, dashboard. They had a public dashboard that they wanted to show the results. But for weeks, they kept updating that result by small, say 2%, 3%. Because they knew they lost. They were just imagining and faking things. Had been a Unity Party had won, and somehow that result was taken away from them. You think they're going to just let it go like that?
No.
You think they're going to just let it go like that?
No.
So, don't mind the talks. They chose him, regardless of what the public said. They chose him as chairman of the National Elections Commission. They didn't care about the public. I'm talking about Jerome Kokoya. He ran on the Unity Party ticket. How brazen and outrageous that is, that you would choose a person who ran on your party ticket to be an arbiter of a national process. You didn't care. You chose him even though the different parties complained and you didn't care at the time. But then suddenly, want to act like, this. Madame Lassana has no history of a political party or being part of any political party. All of the different women. As a matter of fact, that's one of the places that President has empowered women.
Of course.
Look at the Elections Commission.
Yep.
Mostly women. I think about 2 men down there.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly women.
Yep.
And all of that. So yeah, the level of hypocrisy needs to be called out.
So Boaka, thank you. When I'm addressing these matters, I like to be historically contextual.
Mm-hmm.
So the first question I've usually asked these political pundits and their leaders, running around this place and trying to crowd foul in the first place when the game hasn't even started. 2005 elections. First of all, is there a pinch of desperation in President Weah if it comes to the presidency? I'll say to you no. 2005 elections, when Liberians came all out in their numbers, there was huge fragility in that election. In the end, what did the president do? He said, look, you know what? Liberia above all. This is not about me, it's about the country. Let it slide. 2011, again, I remember the famous November 7, that white march at the party headquarters, where the Congress for Democratic Change at the time decided that they weren't going to go to second rounds on grounds that they felt cheated in the first round. What did the president do again? The president said, this is a matter of national peace. If democracy must be sought at the hands of the machetes and the guns, then I don't want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
Let us let it go. Look, in the end, it prevailed. Today, this man was elected president. 14 out of 15 political subdivisions came out and spoke that this is the man that we have had explicit confidence in, that has waited for his time.
Yeah.
He became president, was elected. He started to run a government that was inclusive of all. Void of opposition political parties, he brought them on board. The first segment of his administration saw colossal exposures of sensitive documents that weren't needed to be in the public because they were all trying to undermine.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't stop there, neither did he even slow for a bit. He led on. Today, we've had elections in this country that, in fact, if President Weah had desperation of power, bulk of the political leaders whose parties won by elections would have won. Today, the appetite that they have that they're running around today, we have been questioned.
Including what was described before as a president's stronghold, Montserrat.
Of course.
Yeah, so
we have been questioned.
Yeah, exactly.
How many times did Delona run as senator or did Delona profess his political interest? He even admitted very clearly that he would prefer George Weah because George Weah has made great people as compared to other political leaders who made them to carry the bags around and became nothing.
Some of these people feel
so they should understand this.
So much entitled.
Yep.
And, I just want to get to something else that happened during the course of the week. During the course of the week, so the Unity Party's tender bearer had one of his shows. He went out because, like I said, lately he's been going out there because his folks his folks have been prodding him, telling him, well, you kind of sort of, resting on your laurels and maybe the ANC people are out there, they've gotten the president's attention. That's why the CDC seem to be attacking the ANC. So you need to get out there. So he's been making, against all of the odds, because the vice president is against a lot of different odds because the whole election process is kind of grueling. It is physically taxing on the different systems that one has, obviously. So he's been out there, exerting himself, and some of the time throwing cheap political shots at the president because he looking to gain his attention. But did you know that before the start of an interview on, I think, something called the Class Reloaded, before the start of that interview, I think it was on Wednesday, it's an opposition platform. The guys had the national anthem played for the opposition leader, a politician.
Even before he
the
was
national anthem played.
Can you imagine?
For Joe Boakai to speak, and all of them waited in attention for him to speak.
Desperation.
If that had been the other way around, imagine the outrage there would have been in the public. Some of the civil society group, George as an opposition leader, when he was, at the time, George as an opposition leader used to tell his partisans, respect the laws and all
exactly.
That. When the people were protesting in the street, he even attended President Selly's inauguration, and all of that. Had he been the one to have had, a national anthem played as a candidate in the opposition before he spoke, imagine what the outrage would have been. I know some of the folks will come out and say, oh, no law prohibits that, but there's been a national etiquette, that before it is played for officials, or our official program, maybe the sports stadium or some of the time before the president, if not some of the time, all the time before the president of the nation speaks and all of that. So to have, it's just like, it's the arrogance, it's the entitlement, it is the usurpation,
the
and
desperation.
All of that, the desperation, and thinking that you don't, because he went on to, and one of the things I want to say, some of the folks out there, when we were talking about the leadership of the country, we're talking about the different potential of the candidates, and people can sort of claim, oh, this is an old man, you don't need to talk to him like that and all of that. We know that, and that's why we respected that on this platform. As a matter of fact, we don't talk to any elder or leaders on this platform in a denigrating manner. But if you place yourself in the political ring and start throwing shots at other people's candidate, you can expect shots to be thrown back at you. For instance, if the vice president gets out there and starts using denigrating words against the president of the country, to the extent of calling him a boy, obviously he expects that those.
No.
We're going to get back at him.
There'll be intellectual retaliation.
There's going to be intellectual retaliation.
Of course.
So if he wants a respectable discourse, he ought to conduct his discourse in a respectable manner as well. Because obviously, if you start to throw cheap political shots at other people's candidates, they're going to get back at you. For instance, he talked about, the vice president has a tendency of speaking in fables and, putting out tales and all the different stuff, that only probably his contemporaries will understand, because most of the people don't understand some of the things, when I was in Lofa County, I used to do this, that. We're talking real policy matters.
You're still living in the rustics of yesterday.
We're still living in the relics of still doing the relics of the past.
Yeah,
living in the relics of the past.
That's the rustics of yesterday.
But if you pride yourself like an agriculturist, like Nathaniel Blama said in 2017 elections, why were you dismissed as Minister of Agriculture by Samuel Doe? Why? During the Green Revolution. So if you pride yourself as the master planner of agriculture policies and all of those stuff, why were you dismissed?
Because Waka.
But Nathaniel Blama explained the reason. He said Joe Boakai was dismissed, and that is according to his account. It's up to them to verify. But Nathaniel Blama, do a Google search. He said that. Nathaniel Blama said Joe Boakai was dismissed because of a $2 million scandal that he could not account for. That's why he was dismissed by the Samuel Doe regime, the NDPL. You know,
But-
and then the United Party, McIntosh also accused Joseph Boakai of receiving a 100,000 bribe for the ADA project. You know, this was an agriculture project. So this is somebody who prides himself as the person who knows it all and all of this stuff. Why couldn't he pursue, you know, the kind of, you know, when you do something small in your area, they say, yeah, we'll get the bigger one, you can do it proper. But if you can do the small one, they say you eat the money. They say you eat the money, according to, he needs to confront McIntosh and at some point, Nathaniel Blammer. So then how can we trust you with a national, platform?
Boakai, if you know, if you've ever watched some of these professional impersonators like Terry Fitter, now for the benefit of the audience, I will say an impersonator is someone like in the comedy sector who plays the role of another person by using their voice. All right, like my man Joseph Dean here, and Omen Joseph Boakai, respectively, is more like is being impersonated. So if you look at the political think tank of United Party after Wilmer Pay left, you will come to realize that it is in shambles. The political leader in himself is tired. And
Extremely.
and there are young people and others who feels that you know this, like what Nuku said before, it is this the issue of government jobs is their birthright. The issue of being president, holding power is their birthright. So they will do everything they can do. Now they're using a tired professional, as I would call him, who's supposed to be resting and being played with by his grandchildren. They are using him to say things that he mean not to say. And this is giving a different picture of the United Party that we know. When EBK, I think you heard Edward Biancasoli, that Madam Salim named that place after. What's the first chairman of that party, I think, Stanabera or something like that, of the United Party?
Yeah.
EBK, those were people who championed the legacy of United Party. Come down to Madam Salif.
Yeah.
So they look at the United Party. The United Party is just more like a small grassroots party that is struggling
But
to
even
get
more,
relevant.
Daniel, we need to start asking the question, why is it most of the United Party stalwarts, have opted to support Cummins?
Well, yeah.
Why is it only the guys who were at the lower end of the ladder at the time? Why are they the ones who support the likes of, Julia Duncan Cassell, the likes of Wisner, other than why are they supporting Cummins?
You want to know why?
Why aren't they supporting the vice president?
It's very simple.
It tells you about the level of, lack of confidence
But besides
that they
that-
have in its leadership style.
Yeah, but besides that, he's also politically indecisive. It was under this workers' watch that Benedict Ure took Cummins to court for allegedly fingering
Yeah.
the framework document. It was under the watch of Honorable Joseph Boakai that Liberty Party was divided into two
Okay.
as an elder. It was also under the Unity Party's watch that a convention was held when forerunners of this party were pushed aside and new faces were brought on board. Okay?
I know.
So it tells you that because of his political insensitivity and his social disconnect with the very members of the party, okay, they prefer to follow someone who they feel
And then
they
you
can
talk
take a
about
captain left behind.
the president being a boy. Look, you want to talk about
Who
boy,
you call
but we
boy?
start talking about old age
Who you call boy? The man
and
was-
some of the feelings of the old age, the senility and all the different stuff that associated. Then the people say, "Oh, yeah, you respect the elders."
Our
and all
pa
that.
is-
so
our
so
pa
I
is
think
tired.
we're not going to delve into that. This is just sort of
Our pa is tired.
a preemptive strike saying,
I do.
"Don't go where you don't want the other people to go."
Exactly.
If you want to open up
You want to go gutter.
about no, not gutter, but I mean,
Go-
we're
gutter
talking about
mean
each
intellectually.
issue. There are. I'm going to get to you, Josephine. There are genuine issues
that we can discuss.
that we can discuss
Yeah,
with
agree.
being a senior,
Without being offensive.
with being a senior. When you're senior in terms of age, seniors are those way advanced in age, like maybe somebody 70, 80 years old, and all of the different stuff. There are genuine, issues. I'm not going to delve into that and all of that for the moment. Just to say
I want clarification.
preemptively,
I want clarification.
don't go where you don't want your opponents to go. So when you start talking about some of the things he was talking about on his platform, you expect that there's going to be a retaliation. So that is that. Let's welcome Joseph Dean.
No, don't be happy. Don't be happy. I will soon go. Don't be happy.
Joseph Dean, Liberia's best comedian. What's up?
Let me clarify something while you're talking. When Paul Joe said President Guyana, he's trying to tell you that President Guyana can be his son. Don't you be speaking?
Now you expo man. Now you expo man.
Can't speak for the man.
When I spoke man, but he's an old man, and you're looking at older than a
My man, look, you think, excuse me, you think Donald Trump really matter whether Biden was older? I mean, you in the ring and you throw shots, you're gonna get some shots.
But we are Christians, Baka. So
one of the things we've not done on this platform is to talk in a very denigrating manner about the VP.
No, we'll not do that.
Because obviously we're not going to do that because he's of a certain status and older and all of the stuff. But if he undermines
leadership is not age.
If he undermines
it's responsibility.
By himself on his own accord, that regard and profile that he has by engaging in the kind of shots that you do when a man thought the brother, he did the brother, but about it.
No, the president.
Oh, okay. I mean,
but the thing is, thank God, Bwaka, they have a clergyman as the party chairman. And I think he understands the contextual Bible, or different, teachings. So,
and by the way, that clergyman, let me say on this platform, I think my own reading of him, I mean, with all due respect to him, but I think he's one of the weakest political party chairmen that we have currently. Because I've listened to him. I'm listening to him a few times. No. I'm being honest. Listen, Modad was erudite.
Yeah.
You can. And then I'm not campaigning for.
It was
but you listen
aggressive.
to Modad.
Yes.
You want to listen more.
And the energy was there.
But listen to Reverend Luther Top. They say he's a motivational speaker and a man of God and all of that. Maybe those are the areas that he's gifted in. But when it comes to politics,
no.
Some of the things I heard him talk about, it shows.
Even some of the open accusations that he's made, his first entry. So what I was trying to say, Waka, if you look at, we all Christians here, I believe. And from a religious perspective, if you look at all of the kings that led Israel, God had always brought young, energetic folks in the forefront that would stay and get old and then they turn over. So this is not an issue of calling somebody a boy. I think what we need to understand is this boy currently possess the leadership capabilities? Yes. So will you still call him a boy? No.
So you join people who call the president boy too?
It's not a boy. So when somebody say that a whole country's president is boy, this is not a traditional age thing we're discussing here. This is something that has to do with a whole country, a country that has bilateral relations with other countries in the world. You can't go calling the president boy. So we just want to clarify that one.
Exactly.
You understand now, eh?
Exactly.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so let's talk about two things before we open the lines. One is the fact that the president set up the rice stabilization task force. And by the way, the government is doing its utmost best to ensure that the availability and affordability of rice on the market. Some of the people have been talking about why the task force, there is the Ministry of Commerce and all of that. Well, this task force is going to enhance the work of the Ministry of Commerce. First and foremost, the Ministry of Commerce is tasked with regulating commodities generally, the importation price and all the different stuff. This one is going to be focused exclusively on rice. So and given this crucial nature and the crisis that we had, all of those stuff, so we're going to ponder on the different.
For the gravity of the public, and we want to talk we're talking about because the person would get two priority. They see the president.
They want for the rice.
Institute tap food to group right separately, and we want to. So can you clarify?
So I'm talking about the rice. They call it the rice how they call it stabilization tax force. So in other words, they want to make rice. They want to make rice available. They want to ensure that the price is stable.
How? By going into farming or by making it red to
so there are various ways. And I've heard a lot of people talk about, what the government can do as a result and all of that. But the government is engaging. It's a multi-pronged process. The government is engaging in a variety of means to ensure the stability of the price of the market. First and foremost,
when you're talking to those people, don't you multi-pronged all the one we don't understand it. Break it down through the woman.
The government making sure that they're using all the different means available to it to ensure that they can make sure that rice is on the market. Let me talk about thank you.
Get a mention on that.
To ensure that rice available on the market. So I've heard a lot of people talk about the agriculture and all of this stuff. You know that the Ministry of Agriculture is doing quite a lot. And they don't get to follow up. They don't get the kind of needed credit that they should. There was a point that the government placed a real emphasis on the agriculture sector. The president held a specific meeting focusing on the agriculture sector. That was the time the president said the agriculture minister was his star. Remember that time? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he even urged them to to recultivate several hundreds of acres of land that had, I think somewhere in Cape Mount. They've done that already. But the agriculture ministry is also working with various people. I understand currently they are working with the French Development Agency to develop, to harness the different farmers' abilities to develop rice. That is specifically for rice.
Okay.
But there are other products that they're working with farmers on. Firstly, in Lofa County, which has been characteristically, referred to, which has been, in the past referred to as the breadbasket. They've worked to
Former breadbasket, correction.
yeah, they've worked to bring back online the different farming cooperatives in the different districts. So the farming cooperatives are being brought back online, and that's one of the things you need to do. They also are working with the farmers, giving them grants, farming grants to thousands. I'm not talking about a couple of farmers. They're giving grants. They're working with different NGOs. They're giving grants to thousands of farmers. There was a point that I think they were giving, farming seedlings to cocoa seedlings, that is, to farmers. Have you noticed? And they're working on the value chain. So the value chain is basically when you produce a product. Initially, when you produce the product, we then take it to the post trade and export it. But we're working on the value chain so that those products can be processed in Liberia, some of the times available to Liberian consumers. Have you noticed lately in the different supermarkets? Have you seen a lot of Liberian products in the supermarkets?
Of course.
From the farmer, from the farm?
Yep.
Did you have you used to see that?
It wasn't that way before.
It wasn't that way before. So it tells you the level of intervention. Chocolate, for instance. During the president's nationwide tour, he visited the chocolate factory
In Nimba.
and other places, and encouraged those people. And those people have been given subsidies. We can see they've moved from cocoa production to a full-blown chocolate.
Yep.
So this is one company that is producing chocolate for the market. So imagine the number of different companies that could produce chocolate. So there's going to be competition. Then we could also start to fully harness our capabilities in the coffee production as well. And all of those stuff. So we can be on par with places like Ivory Coast and Ghana.
But look at...
So these things are happening. They're happening at a gradual pace. I hear people talk about the budget for agriculture. But look, the budget for agriculture is the same as the national budget. You generate revenue from different sources. The national budget, you do domestic revenue, that is there. There are other sources of revenue, but there are also revenue from partners. So if these partners historically, this is not just starting now, if they've historically contributed a certain amount, and some of the times they increase that marginally year after year, are we supposed to, and they're taking on different projects, are we supposed to go and duplicate those different projects they already committed to taking on, or work with them? Are we supposed to commit more resources to projects that some other people are already committing resources to, and some of the times increase it year after year? No, we work with them. We make sure that whatever product, whatever project they engage with, it benefits Liberia and is in accordance with the proper agenda for prosperity. So those are the things that are happening.
Yeah. So Paka, thank you. So if you look at, you're talking about the agricultural sector, and a lot of people are wondering how much money is being put into that sector, right? Okay. So just look at the commercial bank spendings from 2018 to 2022. It has gone, it was around 23 million, if my stats are correct, to today up to approximately 300 million. So it tells you that a lot has been done in the agricultural sector. Now, cassava, under this administration, cassava now is a serious value-added chain commodity. Okay? The Ministry of Agriculture has got this, what you call this Star P project, and they have this cassava project that across the counties they supporting farmers to grow cassava, and the bad products from there is being marketed. So there's been a lot done so far, and what I want to say is that if you look at the the Rice Stabilization Committee, that was the task force that was set up, Waka, and that of the Liberia Produce Marketing Corporation, then the difference is that we will be laying specific emphasis and putting attention on ensuring that rice is stable on the market at all times.
Let's open the lines.
Before we open it down,
Your people,
before we open it down,
Josadin,
Minister, before we
Josadin,
open
your
it
people,
down,
Josadin,
before we open it down, Minister, I get something to ask you.
yeah.
You make a good statement, which everybody know that you said, do you know that the president is doing that, or a minister of agriculture is doing that thing that people don't talk about?
Yeah.
That I'm only minister of agriculture. The whole entire president, we are government as a whole, that printed in the info.
I agree with you.
That the printed in the info way, and no messaging had not been disseminated to the public to make it visible, so they would see and know that the president is doing SYC. This is what's many things happening. Now, you talk about agriculture, agriculture doing the growing day. Ministry of Agriculture propaganda things about make sure they be on top of all the agriculture activity and all things that are coming up. Even if somebody to read them with camera and bring it to Casa, they be taking Casa, they know that people engaging in more food production domestically.
The Ministry of Agriculture can put out regular. The thing is, people don't take the time to do that. But
No,
the
no,
Ministry
no,
of
no,
Agriculture
let
can
me
put
there,
out
Minister.
regular updates on its website.
Minister,
For instance, this one from
Minister,
just about a month ago that says that the MOE is distributing about 1 million cocoa seedlings in Lofa County. You know, 1 million cocoa seedlings in Lofa County. It says the Ministry of Agriculture, through its tree crop extension program, is currently distributing over 1 million cocoa high-yielding seedlings to almost 2,500 smallholders farmers in Lofa County. That is that for that. The other one I say, let me show you.
how many people get that?
Vote of confidence.
Besides that,
France's new
I'm gonna
program
agree with
underway to retrieve Liberia rice sector.
How many
The
people
government
get data to go read a minister?
How many things
Yeah,
online?
Sufficient.
Waka.
You need to set a program that will disseminate messages to the people so the people can understand. They see what you can't on the radio today.
agree.
Somebody call the president Paul. You can't to tell people like President Paul. They see what you're going to create a program to come here to tell the people what the president is doing instead of waiting for the people to attack before you come to cancel react.
I want to agree. You know, there's a big saying for Liberians. They say, if you want to hide something valuable, put in a book. A lot of our people would prefer the traditional way in getting the information.
Yeah.
You can read one whole long paragraph.
Yeah, when I'm reading.
How many persons read that thing on Facebook? But the fact they see 10, I think it's 5 paragraphs they're passing by it. Once no picture, in fact, only the picture they want to focus on.
Let's open the lines. Call us
right.
on 080-514-096. That's 080-514-096.
We need a traditional approach to information.
086-561-537. That's 086-561-537. 080-514-096. Good morning.
Good morning.
Your name, where are you calling from?
Mr. Minister, this is your uncle S. Lauren Bobo calling you from Novakande to be specific. Foya District 1.
Hey, how Foya? Which part of Foya are you calling from?
I mean, up to you.
I call you around my base, quarter, that is power quarter.
You're calling from Foya Broad Street?
No, Foya power quarter. So my
man.
It always say, you have to say that.
hello,
Oh, go ahead. I don't mind email.
Okay, Mr. Bogari. Let me just discuss this talking about.
Okay.
Can you see a Zuma want to be president where the men have ministers and other people?
Exactly.
Last time you were in Syria, I tried to call you. When I go through public, somehow we need your private number.
Okay.
We discuss some issue because the development of this country is lying in our hands.
I'll totally agree.
We need to join you.
Yeah.
After that, I did the minister, you will rest. But because of that, I did it before, everybody you in studio, God will bless us and will take this thing with the one election. We're not going to give up. We'll be by you guys until we can see the end after 2020 October the 10th. Thank you, Mr. Minister.
Thank you. Let's talk to this other caller. Good morning. Hello? Let's talk to this one right here. Good morning. Okay, that one is going. Let's talk to that other one. Good morning. The lines are hot.
Good morning, Mr. Fufana.
Yeah, your name, where are you calling from?
I'm Lawrence. I'm calling from Tingo Village.
Lawrence, go ahead. How's Tingo Village?
All right, well, what a comedian is saying is truth. Because what, Liberians will let they say will believe in lies and the truth.
Yeah.
So what Josephine is saying is, you two have to explain to the public what the government is doing.
Okay.
We don't have to wait when public can talk to the president this, that, before you people come to show. When they show, then if people come, when camera around, they say, oh, this is what the agriculture ministry is doing this, showing the footage. You say something you do, you record, okay, like when we don't read.
I agree. We do we do some of that on the show, but I agree. Thank you so much for your suggestion. Let's talk to more callers. Good morning.
Yeah. Good morning, Minister Bwaka, and let me say good morning to Josephine, including the men who are long story hearing Mr. Anka.
Mr. Who?
I thought the voice I'm hearing is Daniel Anka.
No, not Daniel.
Daniel.
This is Daniel Nukes Thomas.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I call to agree with what Josephine has just said. There are a lot of things.
I mean, I didn't see ice power narrative.
that are ongoing.
No, but you're right. Go ahead.
For the traditional media, is now totally working. Yeah, so there is a need that the traditional radio be taking key look at our people. Those in the interior part of our country, you expect them to go on the Facebook to also read information.
No.
Yeah, so it is the radio that our people use to access information.
Okay, let's talk to this other caller right here. Good morning.
Good morning, Baka, and good morning to your colleague. My name is Bob Evans. I'm calling from Morovia.
Bob, go ahead.
Did you follow the class reloaded edition of the OME?
That's what I was talking about. I didn't follow it to the end, but I was put off by.
Listen to the OME spoke himself. The OME, in one of his essays, he said, when he became president, the LPRC, the FIPO, and other autonomous agencies, they don't need 100%.
Yeah.
It means
Only
if
500.
you have an entity with maybe 1,000 employees, you will not need 100. Now 100% will be out of job.
Yes.
Yes, now 100% will be out of job.
And in addition, he also followed up his 100 days thing. The last time he said 100 days, no car going to stick in the mud.
Mm-hmm.
But he also said, you got to listen to part of it. He said in 100 days, they're going to build dams and all the different places for agricultural projects.
Yeah.
Can you imagine
The
the desperation and the lies? Like, how are you going to do that?
How?
Why are you projecting all kinds of lies?
He's talking about 100 days, talking about 3.5 months.
No.
That's what he's talking here.
100 days, he will not even finish setting up his government.
Yeah, you can't finish with the cabinet. The cabinet member to even get it. It gave me tough time.
Why is the not planning already? Why is it not planning?
Those confessions are true confessions, and the Liberian people need to take it and listen very well.
Yeah.
Because what this president did, he took over and kept those who were on job and brought new people and said, you know what, we are not here to take bread from people more. But the woman is telling you that downside is imminent.
But what they did in 2006 when they took over, they started sacking a lot of people. So that the same thing he's saying they're going to do.
Yeah, so just imagine if you telling us that you will downsize in need of even people who are on retirement benefit, they're the leader who will go.
So in 2006, when they took over, they had this right-size policy, but essentially it was sacking people. So they sacked hundreds of people. I got a friend who left his job at the NPA. We close. You know him, Daniel. But he left it. He was downsized on the job, and it was a toy on him. And he remembers that point regularly. Let's talk to the Deputy Director General of the Library Broadcasting System, Jala Griffith. Good morning, Jala.
Good morning, Boga, and good morning to Thomas.
Morning.
That policy of the red sizing and left sizing whatsoever, there was a convention held in Bone County where United Party was electing some new officers. It was at that convention that Madam Selim instructed our cabinet ministers that it was time to bring United Party on board. You remember that political situation?
Yeah.
And that was led to all of those red sizing and left sizing, also upsizing, downsizing. But I want to make a reference to something that really touched my heart. When the United Party was in power, the chiefs in Lofa were always giving their support to the ruling party. And every time there's an election, they will give support to the ruling party. This time around, during this senatorial election, the chiefs decided to give support to the ruling party, which is the CDC.
Yeah.
Old man Lamin Taylor and his colleagues said, we gave power to the United Party for 12 years. Now Joshua is in power. It is about time to do the same thing with the Joshua government. So they said they were supporting Jala. They all gave that support to Jala. But guess what happened? That old man died recently. This vice president, former vice president, never went to Lofa to say sorry to the people of Lofa for the death of that old man. So you see how politics are taking all our tradition and our family values.
In fact, his son said they were jubilating. In fact, his son said that morning there were some United Party folks that were out and celebrating the death of his father.
Oh, that's why.
Of course, the son of the late Chief Thomas.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but yeah, Jala.
Let me end on this one. Thomas Falawa, upon hearing the death news, took upon himself and led several parties out of the CDC to go to Lofa.
Yeah.
A cow that was slaughtered in a 3 cows slaughtered in Foya and brought money for the people to just sympathize with the people. And I'm told the former vice president sent about 40,000 liberty there. But he didn't go there. What was expected of him was his presence to that place. To go and sympathize with the people of Foya, because during that time, he will only do a recording and send it to Lofa and say, yes, support the person. You're not going to in person. You just a recording, and it was Omer Taylor and the other guys who are hammering this on the radio every time. You're supporting Kennedy, that United Party Kennedy. This time around, this man died. He had not gone there. Can you imagine that?
But Jala.
Which is quite sad.
Jala?
Which is quite sad.
Jala, before you go, I listened to his son on Radio 5. He was interviewed live. And the boy said because of his father's role in asking the people to support the ruling party, when his father passed, there were United Partisans who came out in their numbers that day in the T-shirts and they were celebrating the death of his father. He said not a single dime was raised from the UP towards his father's burial. So it just shows you. I'm not making a story. The song was on Radio 5. Okay, he was interviewed by Kenneth. All right, and then
that's so sad, man.
Yes. So what you're saying, it just reminded me of exactly what the guy said.
Thank you, Jala. Let's open the lines. You can call 080514096. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Bogafana and Ko, Bora in the studio with you. My name is Clay Ojita, joining from Banga County.
Okay, go ahead. Oh, hi, Banga.
Banga is okay. I would like to say a special thank to the government referral library and also our donors for the debt breakdown for the secondary school.
Okay.
1.5 million.
Wow.
Yeah, 1.5 million. So Banga is trying to benefit the kids of the national kids in Liberia. So we tell the government, thank you, and President, we are for the fast standard, to foster education in Liberia.
Super.
The topic that honor discussion, I tell you, thank you for educating our people. Some of us in the community, we live with the people, and we have smartphone. So for me, I put the time on phone to educate people on the ladder of President. We are development within the country. I show everything, get the money out on some again because other people are misleading our people. So I show the development to the people, I sit with the people, I show it because when they see it, physically they will understand. In fact, the hospital that in Bakulu, the one that in Rivergy, the clip, all the other areas I can show to the people and explain about the government.
Okay. Let's talk to Jura, we're going to get to you later. Let's talk to the superintendent of Bong County. I'm sorry, of Grand Bassa. And he's the head of the Superintendent Council. How could I forget his place he belongs to? Okay. Superintendent Janjek Bagbe. Good morning.
Janjek Manjo.
Good morning.
Janjek Manjo.
Manjo, I want to be with you.
Nigga, I'm born, Jana, when you go.
Mama, go ahead. I don't mind the bed.
All right. Thank you, Bwaga Fofana and your team. You see, when the former vice president who have served in public service for over 42 years, when I listened to him, I saw political desperation coming for him. But again, he be used by those that have been in power for 12 years who feed the Liberia for them because they are not in power, they want to come back to power.
Yeah.
How can former Vice President Joseph Boaga tell the Liberian people that in 100 days, no car will hitch in a month?
Yeah, that he will build
When he was
dams.
vice president
all
for
those
12
stuff.
years, one solar leg was not in Lofa. One solar leg did not go Lofa. He was vice president for 12 years. The salary road was not built in Lofa. These are the deception that comes from the opposition. He was vice president for 12 years today. Honorable President, we are first year in office. We benefited from the fairground rule that where he used to go and launch campaign for United Party.
Yeah,
today, he will take part on that rule that President we have built. He was vice president for 12 years. Since 1847, I was posted the we don't supposed to it. We're honored developer today, honored president, we have leadership. Today we have top on the field. In fact, we will reach a point that we play international matches on the field. How can this old man be deceptive? You're telling us that you, in fact, you were downside, but the issue about downsizing is not straight to the United Party. They did it before in 2005.
Yeah, that's straight.
It is in a DMA, so it's not strange to us. So let the Liberian people listen to them so they can understand. And these are some of the reasons why we need to demystify most of this information by partnering with left-man media institutions in the various counties so that they can be able to carry the information to our people. The government have done so much.
Exactly.
On the first year of the president.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that for free.
Yeah.
There are some places, in fact, there are some places in Liberia that nothing was happening there before, but today things are happening there. Can you imagine a government building market where in district number 2 be Giba? Why they are not happy before? Can you imagine that? So people need to know these things so that our people can be in the know to say, look, we cannot reject this bread that is in our hand to go after a bread that is far from us. So for somebody to look at the president, a 56-year-old man to say, oh, that boss. These are things to do the people to demoralize themselves in the public land. So I think the president have done extremely well, and the president doing extremely well. Look at opposite former president Terry Place. Look at that place.
Yeah, the invisible
That's
part.
used for open defecation.
No. But that is just President Salid play. Let's talk about the vice president's own place where he live. The own place he live. How that place has been transformed.
There were no elected, so while they were in power.
Even the rules are bad.
Do was to put a generator on, get enough gas at the expense of the Liberian people, a generator people 24/7, and nobody was benefiting from current. But today the president told everybody benefiting from good roads. He can drive on the road the president built. So you sit down and you think the Liberian people not see what the president have done. I think the vice president need to rethink. The former vice president need to rethink. He needs to know that this country will never second the country to a 75-year-old man at that period.
No, come on. What you say?
You forgive the man.
75? No. He is turning 78 this year.
Yep.
Next year he's going to be 79. So God forbid if he wins next in the election year he'll be 80.
80 years.
Yes. So my advice to the former vice president is, please, John President, we are not developed Lofa, let's develop Nima, let's develop other places. Look at since 1847 we built entire factory today in Liberia. These are not happening before, it's unprecedented. Since 1847 under president, we are leadership today. We have steel raw factory now in Liberia.
Chocolate factory.
You understand? Chocolate factory. So these things are happening because this president is the one that was chosen to develop Liberia, and he will develop Liberia. So then you can ride on with President who can be ambassador or maybe ambassador at any point in time after 2023. Let him not waste his time, let him not waste the energy, because that's why he's not that okay, and I'll empathize that. Let the UP folks start using the old man and the probably carrying all over the place. And I guess he can't even go into campaign during the campaign time. So he can join us so we can develop Liberia.
Thank you,
Janji.
That's the voice of Janji Bakwe. I will try to reach back to Jura.
I can't express myself good in the morning. Why?
What wrong with your magma, man?
I'm getting myself good. Why? They you picking and I put you again. What do you answer me?
And they make us smile. What issue to I get?
I will be beyond Giuseppe.
You can never make it.
Let's talk to Assistant Information Minister Jura Sano. Jura, good morning.
Good morning, Minister Fofana. Good morning, Minister Nux Thomas and Giuseppe.
Minister Dean, please. Minister Dean, please.
Okay, Mr. Giuseppe, when you. I mean, I'm when.
No, you're not bad, man. When you pronouncing it when you say that you forget.
Okay, when the old man was once asked that the 100 days he talked about, he said, instead of begging our partners for money, he will beg for equipment. And in that same 100 days, meaning he has to travel to across Liberia, also Liberia, beg for equipment, get all the
equipment in the same 100
No.
days.
At
And make
the
sure all
time,
the goals.
until Mike Show, he said he was not going to leave the country. He
This
said he's going to make sure
the
that
last
no
time he
government minister
appeared on that
leave.
show,
Yeah.
he referred to.
Yeah,
He
that
said
is-
he will leave. He will talk to our partners outside Liberia. He will beg them in 100 days. They will give him million in 100 days, and the roads will be fixed in 100 days. Can you imagine? How possible can that be? To go to donors to ask them for something, it takes time. It's not automatic.
And procedure.
Then in 100 days, the people stay assessing your government. You stay forming your government. Then you do all the way in 100 days. The deception by itself. But I'm not surprised. George Weah will be re-elected in the first round, 2023. They will keep saying, they will keep talking things, and the people of Liberia will realize that these people do not mean well for this country. They want to get back the power at all costs. Even in the old man, don't be surprised when the old man says, when I win, I will be going in Liberia. Don't be surprised. Because if this is what he wants to tell people to vote for him, they will do it. But I know what we have done, the rest crisis, see how it was handled maturely. They try to undermine the peace and security of the country. They want to compare what happening now and what happened in 1979 when the government of Liberia said at the time we want to increase the price of rice. When we are saying no, we will not increase it, we will sell it at this level.
Yeah.
Two different scenarios, we want to get comparison.
Yeah.
They did everything, they went all around the country, more or less they told to demonstrate. But the people are not gullible as we may think. They know the reality. What happened? They have been resolved peacefully. That's what we'll be doing. No international peacekeeper in this country. For the past 5 years, we have handled the security of the country under the dynamic leadership of President George Weah, 100% with Liberian security apparatus, because we believe in Liberians. We believe that this is the only way we can keep Liberia at peace. Army is no more in Liberia, but the country still remain peaceful. So this is my contribution this morning.
Thank you.
Mr. Jodin,
Yeah, bro.
thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay, I think we're going to hold the course. Let's get back to the Minister of Stupid Affairs,
Yeah.
Minister Joseph Ding.
I want to say something before we get back into the second disco or the episode or the summer on the Monday morning. Yeah, and they are attack going straight to the Ministry of Information. Straight attack.
You won't be on the show again.
Yeah, I'm gonna problem with it.
Tired.
I tell you already. Let me just say this to your serious minister. Minister is serious. If people will come and be saying things and that president, we are ability to run this country and to today what to the Liberian people. If people will come and that president, we are ability, I will bring one person for it. You know what we bring?
Oh.
I will bring, and not only one person. I will bring the name I come to call. The first people I will bring information ministry.
Okay.
You know what I say so?
But man,
No, I come in.
no,
No.
I'm going to sit on the platform.
Let me say something. Let me say
and then
something.
you
Let me say
may-
something. No.
Because the way you were saying,
Yeah, no.
I will not
all
say
the audience will take it different.
No.
I
We
got sick.
gotta-
And that's stupid.
That is because you aren't aware of the number of things we've
Exactly.
been doing, the number of challenges we've been confronted
Okay,
with, and
forget
how
what
we-
challenging and see
and
how bad
how
you can
we-
make
how
president.
we-
We are
how-
visible to the public.
But
So
that's
that people
exactly what
who
we-
are having a
We
doubt.
have been.
That's what we are
We
attempting
need
to
to
do.
do more.
We
We
have
need to do more.
We have several
Okay.
platforms.
Okay.
We have.
Tell me about it.
We have firstly this platform.
Okay.
This comes on regular, and you've been part of the platform for the last year or so.
Yeah.
This platform, this program comes on every Friday,
Okay.
where we attempt to debunk some of the wrong claims during the course of the week, but also project
Exactly.
all the things the government is doing.
Okay.
And then we bring all of the different, stakeholders,
Yeah.
government
MICAT press
officials,
briefing.
and MICAT press briefing on Thursday. The minister also conducts, sometimes press conferences and other interviews, goes to program and what have you, and projects, the government policies at those places. Plus, we have the government's own newspaper.
Yeah, New Liberia.
New Liberia that does that. Then we have the Facebook live feed, that goes to different government agencies and what have you, doing programs and
For the new
carry it
people,
live.
for the new.
But let me tell you something.
We also have
For
our
the
outreach.
newspaper,
Let me
opposition, when I want to read a people who say that.
But let me say-
but your government inside.
Let me
You see
say something that was not present a couple of years back. During the Doe administration, there were just two outlets. I think it was ELBC and EAW.
Yeah.
So you either appear on ELBC or maybe you appear on EAW. EAW are largely religious, but some of the times you have some opposition folks. During President Sirleaf time, the media started to open. During Tillerton, eventually, there were essentially no free media. During President Sirleaf time, media started to open and what have you. But social media has never been pronounced
No.
as it is under this leadership. Now, social media is, I mean, almost like there's a big penetration, if not 70% of the population. Everybody now on social media. And social media enables anybody to be a journalist. They call them citizen journalists. They can come on and write anything. Some of the times, the figment of their own imaginations and what have you. So you have about 10 or so people at the Ministry of Information. They go to one outlet, provide an information. Somebody discount that. 3, 4, 5% pick it up, 6, 7% down the line, and then a chain of reaction. So we're going to be playing whack-a-mole. We can't go from one place. No. Another day, it's going to be that day. There's another day, it's going to be that this.
No.
You know, I mean, we have like a few days during the course of the week. So the thing that people noticing now, you know, now, that was not present during previous administration, during the President Saliva administration, not many people are using social media. Plus now we have an opposition that is committed to disinformation.
Yeah.
You know, the CDC didn't use Facebook as much. But now we have an opposition that vacated the leadership of the country. That's something they begin comfortable with for 12 years. They vacated, you know, sort of, they still have something called sour grapes. You know, they're still peeved about the kind of, you know, the fringe benefits and all the different trappings of leadership that they had at the time. It's no longer the case. So they are so much committed to just disinformation. We're talking a whole host of officials, hundreds of them. You know, so they just project on the Facebook page. So it becomes a challenge.
You know what is a Z there?
It is not like, it is, you know, it becomes a serious challenge.
That's not true. No, you should stop that. That's not true. No, that perception is very wrong. You can't use that. No, it's wrong. That perception is very wrong.
Is it too?
It's wrong because you see, like what the minister said. Let me come in 1 minute.
Okay.
When you are not in the ministry or at the ministry, you don't know exactly what is happening.
Okay.
And he made it also clear to you that the issue of social media has enhanced not just government's work, but even the opposition. In a sense. So in order to understand what the ministry is doing, has been doing, continue to do, you should ask the hard questions and not make the assumption. Okay? First of all, we try as best as possible not to be draconian. You won't also run after everybody who somebody come up and say the president XYZ will run after them. No. There are always intellectual and best ways that we address national issues, like we're doing here today. At the Ministry of Information, we got something that we call the outreach. The outreach is intended to take us all across the counties to propagate the government's, or different projects and activities.
And let me tell you something, Daniel.
Active right now?
Daniel, there is no time that the Ministry of Information has been so active in Liberia's history like it is active now. Because, look at Lina, for instance. The Liberian News Agency. They have a full blue website. They produce more content than ever before. Even on how they can call the former journalist that died from China. They produce more content now. They have something they call Lina Panorama to get out there in the field, all of this stuff. You know, so
with millions of followers.
In order to tackle some of the kind of propaganda that we have from the public, we obviously would need the support. You know, the budget of the Ministry of Information, you know, and we don't want to. Those are some of the things.
I will get the budget
up. Those are some of the things
so
you can
will have program
in
Picana on the parcel station promoting the agenda or the government on the in parcel, on the Q station promoting the agenda or the Q people in Q, in Mano, in Dofa, in Domankisi, and all the different vernacular. Let the people know what's happening because let me tell you something. A Shibra. I know you a minister from the Ministry of Information. I want to know you woman, my mouth some kind of way because you gotta protect your joy and do kind of thing. But the truth be told,
but by the way, the person can listen to the program.
No, but I want your need some time. You talking about low budget now. When the president listen to what some of the difficulties you facing, he will talk to the poor to increase the budget because the president knows some of the things we're talking here are true. You understand me? How can you say you talk? Okay, now you give us statistics. Say the people, the media user increase in up to 70%. I differ with you because it has 70%. The people who
no. I said social media penetration. By the way, it was not a scientific. It was an unscientific guess.
Okay, thank you for correcting yourself because 70.
But still,
looking at the population and not everybody our uneducated population. Looking at it and drawing this into consideration, the vast majority don't have access to the internet. They didn't work with them. People come from the internet, and the internet say, oh, the government today, they just run with it, and then carry the news, and the woman in the interior, they know about Facebook, they say, oh, they say the men today, they start carrying it too. So we just need a very serious. We are going to 2023. You their president we are, everybody their president we are. We want to see him succeed. We want to see our country succeed.
Yep.
But the best way we can do it and to make sure President we are indebted to have the opportunity to continue to do a good way is to look at the dark and see how we can face it so that we can you can move into 2023 with Victoria Comical Day and Victoria Day. So that those are some of the things you need to look at. We agree. Opposition doing the work. I can always tell you the thing. Opposition doing the work. Joseph Baka want to be president. You understand
Did you know this? Let me start something.
You can't sweet thing for your government. You don't think that will make you to the upgrade.
Let me start something.
Why all the men? What main opposition?
Do you know that even in the U.S.,
okay,
because of the advent of social media, and some of the times the politicians haven't really fully include social media in their mode of communication. But every politician, every government should start to include social media in the mode of communication right now.
Peter Obi
during President Donald Trump time, even though the mainstream media ganged up against him,
he was using
social media, and he was quite effective. He was quite effective on social media. He mobilized his audience, and they follow him. They didn't really follow what the narrative of the mainstream media. They didn't care. They were only listening to what their men had to say on social media. And at the end of the day, what the guys did, they said, no, we're me. All the narrative, all the things we're talking CNN, this and that, ABC and whatever, you're not really resonating. So the best way we can deal with this situation, we're blocking on Facebook, Twitter, and all the different because we got to re-examine our approach to social media, and unless we can re-examine that, I'm not talking about just the government, but communication, modern communication has changed.
But
it's changed.
Unscientifically, a good percentage of Rwanda's developmental drive was accrued from social media advertisement of the country. Kagame used a great portion of his communication resources to social media. He put everything about Rwanda there, and it brought tourists and investors from all across the world. So we need to, like what he's saying, there are two things we need to do. We need to look at the traditional aspect, where we need to take the ministry, you understand, to the people. In terms of the information dissemination, through our outreach. Look, the ministry has got, like one minister said, the ministry has got all of these things laid out. We only anticipating the time.
Where's that meant
We're only anticipating the time where these
somebody give me 712 number. Why you get
currently we're working our modalities to.
No, I can talk for you.
To engage. Wait, hold on 1 minute.
Okay.
We want to give you information.
Increase your bill.
We're working our modalities right now to start to engage the other counties.
Okay.
Minister Fofana, myself, and other colleagues. To go to the different counties, sit on the local radio stations as well.
But you guys provide them with
my man, forget it. When we reach there, that won't leave it.
Okay, let's get back to. Let's forget about this thing. Let's get back to the.
When you're going, don't forget about me. When you're going in the country, you are known for people in the country who know the vernacular to the fingertip.
Okay.
That's why you don't speak out vernacular.
We'll carry you.
But you can go there. All the superintendents what they listening to me, Nana, you need to get one radio show. Your sponsor.
My man can speak as I speak.
You are the superintendent in all the country. Then that why you're there for your eye for the president.
So a couple of things I wanted to talk about before we open the lines.
Minister, you probably can spoil my own kids, man. Let me tell you, man. You are the superintendent in all the country. You need to get one program where you're sponsoring to be pushing the president agenda. Okay, the president in pass out today. These are projects that he did. Fairground Road, how they call it play, tourist stadium. The other thing, you have been naming it there in the pass out over there.
We have all of these.
We're doing that. You know, I'm not letting you learn.
Then why the people? Why
you know, I'm not letting you learn.
We have these programs.
Okay, why they must be
the ministry is not for these programs, like we said to you. We're only anticipating the sponsorship of these programs.
Okay, give me Mr. 12 number. Let me ask him why. Let me ask him.
Oh man, I feel you now. I'm going to a different thing now.
Let's go ahead, Maka.
Let's talk about this week. By the way, you know the ministry has, the first lady, the program has an agenda. There is a set goal, a target. So we're supposed to work towards the target. You know that the government has Vision 2030 to reach Liberia to a middle income nation. So all the different development agenda, whether it is the agenda for transformation or the new poverty reduction strategy. I say poverty reduction strategy. The PAPD right now. All of them working towards our goal. So when you come on the platform, so all the different ideas we project supposed to work toward one goal. Promote the government. But you can't start hauling the material for all day. I will be
after we finish setting the farm page.
So that part of
the budget also.
So let's talk about how they can call it. I wanted to talk about the fact that the government this week announced through the Ministry of Information that Liberia has achieved, a remarkable milestone, and we need to project that.
76%.
Whereas the rest of Africa, the rest of Africa hasn't really done as much with COVID vaccination as Liberia has. But we are still lagging behind. The global community, we're talking something close to 64% of the globe, as far as COVID vaccine is concerned. Everybody's getting vaccinated globally and what have you. Africa, there was some skepticism, even though that was firstly due to, the initial false starts. There were some countries that said, the vaccine that issued to them were close to the expiration date and all of the different stuff. But also because of the whole different conspiracy theories about vaccine and what have you. So much of Africa, hasn't been vaccinated. Liberia, on the other hand, has achieved more than 70% vaccination
76.
rate. Yeah, 76% vaccination rate.
Herd immunity.
Herd immunity. What that means is that a significant portion of the population is already immune from COVID.
Yeah.
We are
excluding me.
We are only lagging behind people like Mauritius and Seychelles. So Liberia is a leader. And by the way, I was reading the ABC News. It is a news outlet from the US. Other international outlets, they're mentioning Liberia. And the president showed great leadership in this direction. Remember in 2014 when at the time Joseph Boakai was in power, when COVID broke and all of that.
Ebola.
Sorry, Ebola broke in 2014.
ABC new campaign from EBC, that EBC starting at you.
So Ebola broke out in 2014. And there was a lot of talk about the actions the government could have taken and all of that. And I remember Jerry Limmick, in fact, there was the political leader, right now that is a buddy of Joseph Boakai, the political leader of the ALP, Bernard Yu at the time, said, call on the president to come back from the States. I think she was attending a program, say she needs to come and handle this issue as urgently as possible. Even at the time, Seymour Freeman made similar call and what have you. What Jerry Limmick Pierre said, what the whole United Party said, they started cussing the man a scratch card dealer, the other man is, TV station, glorified TV station, and this, that, and the other. I mean, those were the initial days of Ebola. What happened? It was that negligence that led to more than 4,000 to 5,000 people, Liberians, I'm not talking about regionally, Liberians, more than 4,000 to 5,000 Liberians dying.
In fact, a good number of those people.
Because of that level of negligence. And people have talked about, some of the folks can say, the United Party people are arrogant and this and that, but that was a manifestation of that. You can see that. I mean, when you see Joseph Boakai play the national anthem before he delivers just an interview as an opposition leader, that's part of it.
Look at the stats.
A good number of people play the national anthem before the opposition leader speak on a national. Doing an interview on a platform that is exclusively theirs, got nothing to do with the nation, all of that. They play the national anthem before the opposition leaders. So, come on, this is a free society, but there are certain national etiquettes you can't just break.
You can't do it.
So that what they did, and those were some of the missteps before they finally came to terms
People don't know that job.
with what they had to do. That was only because there were a lot of different interventions. The World Health Organization, the U.S. government, the Chinese government, all the different interventions were made. They started educating people about washing their hands and what have you. That was after more than 5,000 people. That was, if anybody should be arrested at the time, those were the folks in
Excuse
at
me,
the leadership at the time.
next time, before I go down, I don't do it.
That
next time.
was gross
I don't
negligence.
before I go down.
Gross negligence. The difference with 2020 is that even before the start of the disease, President George M. Weah started warning the population. He started talking about how scary it was and what are the steps we need to take. He started committing resources. There were public information campaigns out there.
He set up a team.
I come into that.
Then, project.
Then after we had the first case at the time, Nathaniel Blammer from EPA, he took it so serious, declared a national curfew, right?
Yes. Lockdown.
There was a lockdown, and people were not permitted to leave at a certain time, from their homes and all of those stuff. And then he set up a presidential committee called SPACO.
Yeah.
And then there were other smaller committees set up by Enfield. That was set up involving Enfield, the Ministry of Health, and all the different people. There were regular commitments to that. There were regular meetings. I've been part of some of those meetings. There were interagency approach to tackling COVID and all of that. All of that led to the kind of success. So when you're looking for a leader, you should look for a leader who leads in time of crisis. Who maintains his composure during the time of crisis. Who doesn't dismiss, who doesn't dismiss, people's suggestion and all of that. He took them, in strides and then made some, amends and decisions along the way. And all of that helped us reach the kind of status that we reach now, that we achieved, that we've been commended across the world, that we are one of the countries that took really, rewarding decisions that have made or achieve more than 70%, 76%, in COVID-19 vaccination rate.
Thank you, Parker. If only our brothers were following the trends of events, and if they were, supportive part of it, they would have known the facts. When the president went to when the president went to speak when the president went to speak at the UNG, let me just put my point through. It's important. We gotta share the platform.
Yeah, we'll get to
we gotta do it in a way. Once your colleague is on and saying something, you give him the time, because he too has a portion of his audience that's listening to him and want to give in. When the president went to the UNGA and the president announced to the world that Liberia was almost at the verge of reaching herd immunity, at a point in time we were 70%. Before he returned, a lot of political critics and even opposition leaders criticized greatly the president's statement on grounds that there were no empirical facts. I remember you were on, I think you were there at OKFM along with our mayor, Mo Ali, who called him and said that the president was in error when he said blah, 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 and blah. And I called and I said, look, if President Weah says to the world that we have reached 70% plus, take it as that, because there's been committees set up across the 15 political subdivisions that monitored and provide vaccination opportunities for people. Today, if we talk about 76%, and this is not just the Ministry of Health announcing 76% herd immunity. It is the World Health Organization that has placed Liberia third. It shows that the president is magnanimous in the very things that he would do, and he's very careful in what he says to the world. So I think the opposition community is supposed to be applauding this leadership for the level play, especially making Liberia 3. It has made Liberia a safe country in terms of COVID, one. Number two, it has also added additional positive responsibility on the nation and its people. These were the same people who were peddling the myth that if people take the vaccine, they will die. Remember, Boga?
Yeah.
We have several MICAT press briefings with the health minister.
Johnson.
Thank you.
Johnson.
So today, 76% of our population are taking this vaccine, even boosted, and they are still alive.
Even if I be a chingu, well, you got the
Even Ume Braga said to the vaccine, he is still living. So at the end of the day, it just tells you that every time you try to lie against this administration, the truth comes out not from them, but from an international partner. So we appreciate this, and I think this is good news for Liberia, and Liberians should also have a pat on the back.
Yeah.
Now the 100 they got to me, when they want to be loud, that they want to share with you. Yes, they want to be loud. That was with us, you know. I listened to my Gisebra. They were talking about the low business. Somebody asked the question because he was too spoon in. So they said, Joe, can I ask you the question? When you were there for 12 years, what mechanism you put in place regarding the road to Lufa Kante? Listen to my brother respond.
He said, I've tried. Let me tell you something. When I was vice president on the Evan Johnson administration, I did the original plan for that road.
My brother said he don't want to do the plan for the road, but they do the plan now. We're keeping the plan you react to you, so that the same plan you do to the people they were started.
Yeah.
That thing made me laugh. That
You know,
I laughed that day.
another thing we need to talk about just before we open the lines again is, you know, I mean, you heard that Liz Truss resigned, right?
Yeah.
The British
Prime Minister,
the
former
new,
Prime
the
Minister.
new British Prime Minister.
She's former now.
Yeah, sorry, the former British Prime Minister. No, she resigned. She's just holding on
She's
to
holding
the
on.
Prime Minister that's elected.
Is that good that they resign?
Oh,
Yeah,
well.
after 45 days. By the way, there was a string of... Yeah, there are a couple of things we can say here because if I was an ordinary journalist, I could talk about, but as a public official, you know,
Diplomatically, we can talk about it.
prohibit me from talking about. But I just wanted to talk about the fact that, you know, the global economic crisis, the IMF had warned that the global economy is slowing down. You know, that every country is feeling, is having a hate. Whether it's the U.S. complaining about gas prices, you know, the thing that led to Liz Truss resigning, you know, following Boris Johnson and all of that, she had proposed a set of economic policies that are projected by her, you know, finance minister of African origin, by the way. He went out there, put out the set of policy, and then they had a dramatic turnaround, you know, saying they're not going to do that again. It led to a drop in, you know, their market.
The market, yeah.
The market and all of that, you know, it led to a lot of
The
volatility.
pounds, the reduction of the pounds.
Yeah, a lot of volatility on the British economic market, but also in international markets and all of that. Plus, there was other strings of decisions. She selected a new finance minister. He went to the parliament to go and speak, and then sort of undoing all her policies in her presence while she was there. You know, so people felt that she was bereft of the authority. All of that. So those are some of the things. But you know, I mean, I just wanted to put out that there were economic issues, you know, in the wake of the COVID-19 crisis that happened, and then later on the Russia-Ukraine crisis, you know, is put pressure on international trade and what have you. All countries have been affected. Ghana right now is grappling with really runaway inflation.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking close to 40% their inflation rate. Other African countries,
Nigeria was 70%.
You know, it led to a big protest. I remember sometime in Sierra Leone. You know, I remember those were the two countries the Liberians were quick to cite. Oh, go right here to Ghana. Go right here to Nigeria, or how they call, go right to Sierra Leone, blah, blah, blah. I don't see that a lot this time. That is because... that is because Liberia is doing fairly okay economic-wise. You know, we dropped inflation from as high as 31% in 2019 to something around single-digit inflation now. That was one of the steepest drop in inflation rates in war history. That was because of some of the economic measures the Central Bank of Liberia took, along with the folks responsible for the fiscal policy. So they took these decisions, and inflation rate in Liberia has dropped. IMF is now projecting that in spite of some of the challenges of COVID, the economy is growing. I think they projected about 3.7%.
3.7%.
Might even grow more than 5%. You know, 2023, 2024. why other economies, the
Are
rate of
shrinking.
economic growth dropping,
It's shrinking.
Liberia is progressing. And this is not something that we talk about. Even the former Minister of Finance, Minister Amara Kone, himself admitted that Liberia is doing quite well macroeconomic wise. So in spite of all the different talk, when Joseph Baka talked about boy, this and that, they didn't do as well as we're doing now under the leadership of President George M. Weah. Now they can talk about trickle down. How is that trickling down? Blah, blah. Trickle down is when the government invests in education, paying doctors more and providing more health services, healthcare services in the different parts of the country. When the government invests in social programs in the rural parts of the country, when the government pays wire school fees and make education free at the tertiary level, those are trickle down. When we will have extra revenue, we pay these things.
Investing hugely
We
in
invest
local
hugely
farmers.
in health,
in
local farmers,
agriculture.
agriculture projects, and all the different stuff. So, when Liberian men talk about how we're feeling it, they're talking about how many beers we can buy by the beer shop and all the different stuff and whatever. That's not, unfortunately, that's not the kind of economics.
How many girlfriend rent they can pay? Apartment to rent, and what kind of thing? How many girlfriend car they can buy, and what kind of thing they can give it a job?
Let's open the lines. Call us on 086 514 096. Well, sorry. Call the number again. No, that's the wrong number I called. It's 080 514 096. That's 080 514 096, 080 514 096, or 086 561 537, 086 561 537. Let's talk to this caller right here. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Director Mr. Bwaka Fofana.
Yeah, your name and where you calling from?
And good morning to Assistant Minister Thomas.
Good morning. Good morning.
This is Hilton Wulajedo, the Popo defender.
Hey, Minister Proper, and Minister Super Affair. Don't. You can recognize my president. You can talk.
Hello.
Go ahead.
No, you gotta greet me before, Minister.
Yeah, please greet the mayor.
Minister Proper.
And good morning to
Minister.
the Minister for Super Affairs.
Thank you.
The men that were handcuffed and the sit down the fair during the protest.
Who may want? Oh.
Pajo still handcuffed one man and the sit down took food to the men.
And I'm you.
Go ahead.
Yeah, let me applaud you guys for the analysis today. I want to start from the issue of military information. For some of us, we are talked for long that minister.
Because you lie on me.
Let's talk to this other caller
Anybody
here.
who tell of course,
Good morning.
to me, swear can follow you. I will
Good morning.
the cow. Let me tell you.
Good morning. Good
Your,
morning.
your name, where you calling from?
Thank you so much, Wakai. And let me say good morning to Jesus Dean and good morning to.
No, Minister Proper for Minister Dean.
Come again.
Minister Bayoga Dean.
Minister Bayoga Dean.
Thank you, Biggie.
And good morning. My name is Christian Yanti, and I joined the conversation from the Office of the Intellectual Alliance of Liberia.
Okay,
Along
Christian.
with Japan Freeway. What some of us know that the opposition community has absolutely run out of ideas. When you say the government make gains, like I listened to Daniel, he and Abu Bakr discussed on the radio in a debate, and he was like recognizing the international community when it comes to the issue about corruption, when they highlight corruption, and then he failed to recognize that the same old very international community, through the IMF, the World Bank, has praised and celebrated the growth in our economy. This is the hypocrisy and deception. Then his argument was like, they took us down. I was like, these people don't really know what they want, members of the opposition community. The only thing they do, for every time they think that President Weah cannot do this, President Weah will prove them wrong to do more than that. Some of their argument have been, the government is not a government of inclusion, but yet then, this very government was able to appoint people like Nukwe. This very government was able to appoint people who were not even members of the CDC. They come out, the government not prioritizing women, females.
The government, besides that, the government appointed plenty people. Plenty opposition people.
Opposition more than president.
Even ALP Vice Tenor Bearer is currently at the Ministry of Education.
Drupo is at the Ministry of Education. And then they came back to say the government not prioritizing gender inclusion, putting female in government. So the President Weah has even demonstrated beyond
Liberty Party Vice Tenor Bearer at the FDA.
Yeah, Nukwe.
No. How they call it, Papi?
I just forgetting
his name. His name is slipping my mind. But
Yeah, Kanwe.
Harrison Kanwe.
Harrison Kanwe.
Yeah.
So they came back again talking about the government has to prioritize female, gender balance, gender inclusion, female participation in administration. Today, President Weah has overwhelmingly defeated that argument, even more than Madam Salee. We are seeing this president is a person in the interest of the ordinary masses of our people. President Weah has demonstrated beyond. President Weah, first of a kind, if you do a post-analysis about the country tour, almost all the country has benefited from President Weah. All the countries he visited, President Weah has even brought extra flavor to countries visit than the Madam Salee regime. But today, the opposition, they will always...
Thank you. Let's talk to this other caller. Good morning.
You did that,
Good morning.
Your name, where are you calling from?
My name is Philip Kiwida, and I do join your conversation on Struggle Town, Mangabon County.
Philip, go ahead.
All right, thank you all so much. Let me say how's up to the minister.
Thank you.
You see,
That mean it talking about
this information is clear. Opposition, they don't know what's at the back. It was a simple issue when the president said, let me do a school park for our children. They said, oh, that will be a river place, that will be a river this. Now, we don't have, like, I follow the show one time. We don't have any best new way when it comes to the children going to the beach to go take by on the beach. The children leaving old friends, super friends, going to the beach to go do the one out. No more students leaving the river. You see that? So there's a president that is very instrumental in his self-creative when it comes to, because men travel outside, you see outside what is there, you bring it back to the country. So these are issues that are really embarrassing them.
Yeah.
They are not creative, they are not motivated. So to see such kind of individual that young men with that kind of wide and clear mind, bringing development back to us as young people to see it. So they actually play on them. So you project need to do more, the awareness should be more than that. Because we don't decide to do, we're not doing what they do.
You're not joking with the other side. All right, thank you. Let's talk to this other caller. Good morning.
Sorry.
Your name, where are you calling from?
My name is Derek Williams, and I come from Freeport.
You call from the Freeport?
Yeah, Freeport of Monrovia now.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say one thing for you guys in studio. I don't know what you guys are living in Liberia or you guys are in Liberia, but we got a surprise for you guys. Some 2023.
All right.
Yeah.
No, lean. What kind of surprise you got?
Hello?
My man, nobody cutting you off. What kind of surprise you got?
For putting you guys out.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, yeah?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Let's talk to this other caller. Good morning. Hello.
Yeah, morning.
Your name, where are you calling from?
I need to back calling from Bangabon County.
Go ahead. How Bangabon County?
Bon County fine, though.
Okay, go ahead.
I want to talk about the opposition.
All right.
You know, the people, they are very, very lazy. They don't get anything to say.
I know.
What really would still want to say we voted for opposition? Like Europa will know that 2 terms. So if I were there, I would join this government now to really support that next year when they're touching the very time. But now that they get a show, they just pass around, they just both, they just talk. They see me, you're talking. Why you would think I will move from behind? I will talking to president will go behind you.
I know, eh?
I was talking to president because now we can walk on the and every day I will call on this radio. I will continue to talk. We've been standing here for the citizen when they say talk and do. When they say talk and do, when they say people are defending the government, we are the one in one country. And now we're standing here, we will campaign our children and are turning 18 years. We will campaign for door to door for our president to be re-elected. And like people are telling them, and I will continue to say, we should not vote for all persons because we're suffering from any one country. People for them, that are talking about America, for 2023.
You go over treatment, the boss statement.
We don't want to get somebody all age job. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's take more callers. Good morning.
It was some kind of over treatment.
Yeah. Good morning, Mr. Kumana.
Yeah, your name, where are you calling from? You're calling from Japan Freeway.
This is Abu Shari.
Abu Shari.
I said the morning, my bro.
Yeah. Yes, sir. How are you, sir?
I'm very always just now, my bro. I'm coming to Prajina this evening, eh?
But then you want to talk to my man? You want to talk to Josedi? What happened?
No, sir. Yeah, dollar. I said the morning.
My mother, okay.
I'm coming to Prajina this evening, yeah. Thank you very much. That's what I want. That's what I want. Okay, my bro. Okay, my bro.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Really, I was disappointed in my grandfather, Omen Joe Barker, calling the ruling party or certain government, certain president on Syria party gave for yesterday on our radio station. Because already was late, I was listening. On Syria party, I was so disappointed, brother. I've not had nobody because we consider our grandfather is to really know more, brother. Yeah, to know better, because no matter what happens, yes, President we are, you can born President we are, okay? President we is your son. But
that bomb Bene we're talking on the radio, that bomb Bene, that leader we're talking about here, the Ben 56-year-old president leading the country, you call him bomb. So that what I'm telling, that what we're saying on this platform, thank you, Abu, thank you. That what we're saying on this platform, as much as we are going to, operate within the realms of.
Good morning, and let me say good morning to.
Yeah.
On the panel.
Yeah. Okay. Good morning. Let's take the
I'm a little bit confused. If somebody do not know where you are, how do they find you to give you the supply that they have for you 2023? Because the caller said, I don't know whether it's in Labrador or not.
Exactly. How you give us a surprise now?
So these guys will continue to live in a state of dilemma. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, I think we can stop the calls right now. So the point we're making earlier is, so we listened to the senator of the Unity Party, and some of the comments he made were actually disparaging. And we can be as respectable on this platform because we are respectable of our tradition and age and all the different stuff. But some of the times, if you engage with a boxing match, which is the same with political matches, and start to throw punches, you expect that similar punches are going to be thrown back at you.
Yeah.
So if you want to call other people's leaders boys, we can as much cite some of the frailties that come with aging, especially ones that he's already admitted to. And some of the, the accusations here and there and what have you, but we're not going to engage in that for now. We're going to talk about, we're going to issue the as a preemptive strike and say, let's operate within the realms of decency for now. Let's operate within the realms because Liberia is all we have. We got to be a little decent. We got to respect the different elders. The elder got to respect the leader. The elder got to respect the leader, and the followers of the elders, the leader will also respect the elders. But if you don't respect the leader, you definitely will have some punches thrown your way and all of the different stuff. And it may not be healthy for our democratic discourse. That's why the U.S. ambassador was here the other day talking about, that they're not going to accept political parties throwing cheap shots at the National Elections Commission, but also, having their candidates engage in violence. But all of this comes from the kind of discourse that we project to the public. Firstly, being sincere. You win all the different. You win some. If I did not all that many said you win some of the different by-elections, but when you lost, and then you start to accuse the neck of, imaginary tales and all kinds of different things. You gotta be. You don't have to be so losers. You have to be magnanimous in defeat because obviously, electioneering is a process. It's a competition. When you engage in it, you expect to win or lose. So yeah, a lot has been talked about today. Lastly, I just wanted to talk about the fact that the government has set up the National Railroad Authority. This has been a long time coming. The president was seeking to reinforce the fact that Liberia owns its national assets as much as it grants concessions areas to investors. There are certain national assets that belong to the government of Liberia, and it's going to be managed by the National Railroad Authority. It's going to be managed judiciously, so that if anybody have problem with that, there's going to be provisions under the law that provide for an arbiter, an international one, in order that to solve these different problems. So you see, we're kind of fair.
So we're going to ride train to go there?
No, let's get to Daniel, and then he can close it. Daniel can close it, and we'll get to you.
Thank you, Poakai. This has been a good time for us, as we always do. But I just want to conclude by saying all of Omen Bwaka's appearances in the last few weeks has been on the basis of deception. We didn't talk about this, although we're closing. Imagine he's saying that he's going to put 25 towns together in one place, put a school there, one school, put a recreational center. I mean, it's something that nobody will imagine. It's more dictatorial if you look at the political geographics of Liberia in terms of the way those towns and villages were established. But notwithstanding that, we will always continue to come up here and provide the information to our people, because it's important that they know exactly what is happening, and we can give them physical evidences of what has been done and what is also currently being done. Because at the end of the day, what we believe is that this administration is laying the generational basis for administrations after. All right, so there'll be very less challenges after this one. We are accruing the challenges now and building the platform so that tomorrow there can be a good time for all of us.
Josephine. What you say?
Nothing.
What you say?
Nothing.
The man saying nothing.
You say nothing?
No comment.
No comment?
No comment.
Anyway, that's all the time we have for this morning's edition of the show. Today we were here with a full panel: Daniel Nukes Thomas, Joseph Deng, Liberia's best comedian, attempted to be a politician today. Yeah, but join us again next week for a brand new edition of the show. My name is Boaka I am Fofana. I am the Deputy Minister for Technical Services at the Ministry of Information, Culture Affairs, and Tourism. Daniel Nukes is Assistant Minister